The great throne room of the Zalari Empire floated high above the planet Zara, inside a golden structure shaped like a crown. At the center of that room sat Empress Kiravalta, ruler of 23 systems and destroyer of 3 others. Her black armor sparkled under soft red lights. Her long tail curled lazily over the throne's side. She looked amused. Before her, a hologram of Earth's envoy flickered in blue light. The human ambassador, a quiet older man named Milo Grant, stood tall and calm. He had just finished speaking. "We wish only peace," Milo said. "But we will not be mocked forever." The Empress's lips curled. She leaned forward, eyes burning with contempt. Then she laughed. Her laughter echoed through the chamber. Loud, cruel, full of pride. "Peace?" she sneered. "Your kind builds toys and calls them ships. You barely survived your own moon. Your sun is weak, your reach is short, and your leaders wear fabric instead of armor. The alien nobles around." Her laughed with her. Some even clapped. The human transmission ended silently. Kyra waved a hand. "Let this be a warning," she said. "If they enter our space again, we crush them." But across the stars, back on Earth, something else was happening. In a deep underground base beneath the Himalayas, 7 generals sat around a glowing table. Each wore black uniforms, marked only by a single silver symbol, a spiral galaxy with 200 stars. Admiral Rhea Connors tapped the center of the table. A map of Zilari space appeared. She laughed again. Rhea said, "They always do," muttered General Valdez. "What are your orders, Admiral?" asked another voice, low and cold. Rhea looked tired, but her eyes held fire. "Bring them online?" The room fell quiet. "You mean all of them?" asked a younger officer. She nodded once. "All 200. Silent launch, no signal until final position." Another general smiled slowly. "It's time the galaxy remembered Earth." Back in Zalari space, the Empress still basked in her pride. She sat beside her royal advisor, Terranville, sipping bloodfruit wine. "They're like insects," she said. "Weak, always hoping someone else will save them." Terranville looked troubled. "Your Highness, we have reports, strange ones." She raised an eyebrow. "Speak," he swallowed. "Small stars are disappearing. Systems on the edge of our border are reporting lights in the void. Big ones, silent." Her tail flicked. "Earth? Possibly. But the readings don't match any known class. Send scouts," she said. "If they blink at us, we swat them." She stood and walked to her private window. Below, her capital city burned bright. Red towers, blue flames, purple skies. A world of power and beauty. She whispered to herself, "Let them come." 3 days later, the outermost defense station on the edge of the Zara system went dark. No explosions. No transmissions. No escape. It simply vanished. Earth command. The 200 supercarriers moved in perfect silence, each one the size of a small moon. Sleek, black, and glowing with faint blue light. Their names weren't known to the galaxy. Their existence was hidden for over 100 years. They had no official numbers. No registered IDs. Only one name was whispered for the group: the Line of Soul. Admiral Rhea stood on the bridge of the lead ship, EHS Titan's Veil. She looked out through the massive front view. "Position?" she asked. "We enter their system in 12 hours, replied her second. "Good," she said. "Make sure they see us." On Zara, panic had not yet begun. But worry had. Terranville brought more reports. "Your Majesty, another station is gone. No explosion. No trace." She frowned. "Are they hiding in our stars?" "We don't." "No." A young officer rushed in, pale. You must see this, Empress. She turned. The sky feed above the throne room blinked. Stars disappeared one by one. Then they reappeared. Blocked by shadows. Ships. Dozens. No, hundreds. Perfectly still. Perfectly silent. The Empress stood frozen. Her wine spilled. The nobles around her whispered, then fell silent. One ship moved forward, slowly, like a ghost. Then a single message played. Across all Zilari screens, in a calm human voice. We bring no war, only truth. Asterisk, it was 3:17 Zara Standard Time, when every Zilari warship's radar went blind. Not jammed. Not hacked. Just gone. No stars. No signals. Nothing. Captain. Viren Drax, commander of the orbital station Shieldfang, stared at his hollow screen. The scanner showed only black. No ships. No planets. Not even Zara's twin moons. This can't be right, he muttered. His second in command, a young officer with trembling hands, leaned in. Sir, we're still here. But the sensors say we're floating in a dead zone. Then something appeared. Just one thing. A signal. It was ancient. Analog. UNENCRY. PTE. D. No ship used such technology anymore. No empire would dare. And yet the voice came through calm, steady, unmistakably human. This is Admiral Reich, line of Soul, confirming arrival. All 200 carriers in position, awaiting Earth's command. In the Royal Tower, Empress Caravalta crushed her wine glass. Earth? She growled. Her advisor Terranvel nodded, nervous. Yes and no. The signature matches old Earth Navy protocols. But Earth denied having this kind of fleet. Denied? She snapped. Yes, Your Majesty. For over 100 years, even during wars, they claimed to only use defense satellites and mining ships. She stood slowly, eyes narrowed. Then what is this? Above Zara, the sky was no longer blue. It had turned black. Black with mass. Black with ships. 200 vessels. Each one smooth, angled, beautiful, and silent. They formed a giant ring around the planet. No weapons drawn. No movement. Just watching. Zilari citizens flooded the streets. Some screamed. Some prayed. Others just stood, frozen under the shadow. The Empress finally spoke. Put me through to them. Direct. A tech priest activated the channel. A blue light formed before. Admiral Reich appeared. He looked ordinary, calm. His uniform had no medals, no rank. Just the Earth spiral on his chest. Kyra hissed, Why have you come? Reich spoke gently, to remind the stars that Earth never forgot. In the control chamber of Titan's Veil, Reich's second officer leaned in. Sir, they're scanning us with deep pulses, attempting system breaches. Reich gave a small smile. Let them try. Seconds later, every Zilari scanner crashed. There. Warships blinked red. Communications went silent again. The humans weren't just powerful. They were prepared. Back on Zara, Terranville looked pale. They're not attacking. But they're not leaving either. The Empress paced. This is psychological warfare. Then what do we do? She stopped. We respond in kind. At that moment, a small Earth shuttle broke from formation. It drifted gently toward the planet. No weapons, no threat. The Zilari watched, confused, as the ship opened. A single pod dropped from its belly, landing quietly near the Empress's. Palace gardens. Guards surrounded it. It opened. Inside was a box. Not a weapon. Not a bomb. A gift. The lid slid open with a click. Inside, a data crystal. And a mirror. The crystal played a message. Before the war begins, perhaps look at yourself first. The Empress stared at the mirror, her own face looking back at her through the glass. It wasn't just a message. It was a warning. And for the first time in many years, her hands shook. Asterisk. The air over Zara's capital was still too still. No birds, no engines, no city buzz, just a strange, heavy silence. Even the wind held its breath. Then, the sky began to disappear. Not slowly. Not with sound. Just darkness. Growing, stretching, swallowing. At first, the people thought it was a solar eclipse. But the moons were on the other side of the planet. This wasn't nature. This was something else. Then came the shapes. One by one, they formed in the sky like shadows cutting into starlight. Sleek, enormous, silent. Earth supercarriers had arrived, and they weren't hiding anymore. Captain Viren Drax, stationed at the High Reach defense tower, looked up and dropped his helmet. That's not a fleet," he whispered. "That's a message written in metal." 200 Earthships hovered above the city, not moving, not firing, just watching. Each one had different markings. Names that didn't match any known record. Titan's Veil, Silent Chain, Ghost Memory, Justice Reborn. Some names were in dead languages. Some had no names at all, but they all glowed faint blue. All hummed with power. And none answered any calls. In the Empress's war room. Alarms blared, but no one moved. No one knew what to do. General Calrix stepped forward. "Your Majesty, shall we activate orbital weapons?" "No," she snapped. "Not yet." She stared at the growing ring of supercarriers above her world. If they wanted war, we'd already be dust. Then her eyes narrowed. This is worse than war. This is a show. Asterisk down below, in the streets of Zara, fear had turned to awe. Children stood on rooftops, pointing at the ships. Old priests began whispering ancient prophecies. Metal gods rising from the black void. But most people were simply quiet. Human ships were terrifying, but not threatening. Not yet. In her private chamber, the Empress stood alone, watching the sky. A message had come through, just one line whispered across secure channels. Your fleet isn't ready. Your empire isn't ready. But Earth is. No signature. No origin. Just truth. In orbit, inside the Titan's Veil. Admiral Reich watched the planet calmly. He turned to his crew. They expected fire. They expected war. What they didn't expect was silence. "Should we move, sir?" his second asked. Reich shook his head. "Not yet. Let their fear speak first." An hour later, across Zara's skies, a single carrier moved. Not fast, not threatening, but purposeful. Drifted toward the Royal Defense Tower and stopped, just above it, close enough for the Empress to see its name with her naked eye. EHS. Dawnbreaker. Her blood froze. That ship had vanished from records over 150 years ago, before Earth ever joined the Galactic Council. She turned to her guards. What power keeps a ship alive that long? No one answered. Then the lights in her palace flickered. The ground rumbled. The sky went completely black. And in that moment, all screens lit up across the Empire with one line. You laughed at Earth's silence, but silence can scream. Above Zara, the 200 supercarriers remained still, a silent ring of judgment hanging in space. No engines roared. No weapons lit up. No fleets deployed. And yet, every Zelari system flickered with fear. Inside the Royal Command Tower, Empress Kira stood before her war map. It showed nothing but blinking alerts and black zones, regions now under unreadable signal suppression. Not jammed. Overwritten. Earth wasn't blocking her tech. Earth was speaking a language her systems couldn't even understand. Terranval, pale and sweating, approached slowly. "Your Majesty, the Central AI Core no longer recognizes our own fleet." "What do you mean?" she asked sharply. "It reclassified our ships as non-priority static matter." She froze. Like rocks? He nodded. Back in orbit, aboard the EHS Dawnbreaker, Admiral Reich stood on the forward deck. His crew watched calmly. Most didn't speak. They didn't need to. The mission was not war. It was presence. Earth was not here to destroy. Earth was here to be undeniable. Across Zara, broadcasts began again. But this time, only one message repeated. In every language known to the galaxy. It wasn't a warning. Not a threat. Just 5 words. Observe, understand, then choose peace. No face, no flag. Just the voice of Earth. General Calrex slammed his fist on the holotable. This is psychological warfare. No, the Empress said coldly. It's deeper. She walked to the window. It's confidence. Real power doesn't shout. It simply exists and lets others tremble. She stared at the glowing ships in orbit. Then whispered, "So why am I trembling?" Suddenly, a second Earth shuttle broke formation. It drifted through Zelari space unchallenged. No weapons. No escorts. It landed in the courtyard of the Imperial Palace. Guards rushed toward it, but it opened before they arrived. Inside, no soldier. No diplomat. Only a crate, and beside the crate, a single datapad. The Empress ordered it brought to her chamber. She stood over the crate as it hissed open. Inside, seeds. Dozens of them. Tiny, silver-lined, Earth-grown. The datapad activated on its own and played a short message. Admiral Reich's voice. Before Earth builds walls, we offer bridges. These seeds grow food on planets your empire burned. Try one. Feed your poor. If you wish more, talk. Not bow, just talk. The Empress stared at the seeds. Around her, even her most loyal commanders fell into silence. One whispered, "They come with gifts, not guns." Another asked, "And still we are afraid?" That night, a dozen Imperial nobles gathered in private. They debated Earth's meaning. Some wanted to attack, some wanted surrender, but most just wanted answers. The Empress stood alone on her balcony, watching the ships above like silver gods. She clenched her hands tightly. She was the ruler of 23 star systems. Feared, obeyed. And yet, they came without weapons and took the galaxy's breath away. And somehow that was more terrifying than war. Across the stars, in a hidden Earth council chamber, another admiral watched the unfolding events through silent feeds. Still cold? An aide asked. The admiral nodded. No shots, no casualties, no fear from our side. And if they fire first? She smiled. Then they'll learn. Our weapons were never cold. Just patient. The Empress sat on her throne, but for the first time in years, she felt like a guest in her own court. Her crown felt heavier. Her voice no longer echoed the same. And behind her, people whispered. Not enemies. Her own advisors. General Calrex knelt beside her, his voice trembling. "Your Majesty, our fleet commanders refuse to move." "What?" she snapped. "They say Earth's ships aren't showing aggression, and they won't start a war unprovoked." Her fingers dug into the golden arms of her throne. "They disobey me?" Calrex hesitated. "They fear what Earth might still be hiding." In the far corners of the royal chamber, nobles formed quiet circles. Eyes darted. Mouths moved. Hands gestured quickly. Some were already contacting Earth's ships in secret, requesting talks. Not to betray the Empress, but to survive her. Terranville entered with new reports. "Human drones have dropped crates across our outer colonies," he said. "What kind of crates?" Kyra asked sharply. He looked confused. "Medicines, water filtration kits, portable farms." He paused. "And toys for children." The Empress stood up slowly, her voice colder than steel. "They mock us with kindness?" There, winning hearts. Terranville whispered Dot outside the palace. Thousands of Zelari citizens gathered in the streets. They didn't come to protest. They came to look up Dot, to see the ships, Dot to watch the sky and dream. Dream of a future where fear didn't. Ruled and Dot in a hidden chamber deep inside the palace. Minister Relka met with 3 nobles. Do you see what's happening? She asked. The Empress still clings to pride, while Earth offers progress. One noble whispered, Earth has already taken the galaxy and never fired a shot. Relka nodded. She won't bend. So she must break. Inside her war room, the Empress watched old footage. Clips of Earth during its violent centuries. Wars, bombs, chaos. She replayed them again and again, desperate to find weakness. But those videos were hundreds of years old. The new Earth, this Earth, was something else. Not soft. Just unshakable. Suddenly, a young guard burst into the chamber. Your Majesty, a member of your own council, just entered the human shuttle. What? She rushed to the security feed. There, on the screen, stood Minister Relka stepping into the Earth pod with no chains, no escort. Just purpose. The Empress's tail curled tightly behind her. She was one of mine. Terranville lowered his eyes. She still is, Your Majesty. Just not only yours anymore. That night, a secret meeting was called inside the palace. The Empress entered, expecting loyalty. But as she looked into the eyes of her top generals and oldest advisors, something was gone. Fear. They no longer feared her. They feared what would happen if she didn't change. And she knew. She was losing them. From her balcony, she looked up again. The ships were still there. Glowing silently, not firing, not retreating. Just watching. Waiting for a decision. That wasn't hers alone anymore. The Empress stood alone in her grand throne. Room. No music. No council. No guards at her side. She didn't dismiss them. They simply stopped coming. She looked up at the golden ceiling painted with scenes of Zelari victories, past glories, worlds conquered. But now it all felt like a lie. Those victories had been loud. Earth's silence was louder. Outside, Earth's 200 supercarriers still floated like giants in the sky. Not a single one had moved in 2 days, yet their presence pressed down like a storm that never broke. The Empress whispered, Why won't they strike? Terranville entered carefully. Your Majesty, he said softly, the people are beginning to gather again. She turned. To protest? No. To watch. To wait. For what? For you to decide what kind of ruler you want to be. She gritted her teeth. I am their Empress. He stepped closer. Not anymore, Kyra. Are now their choice. Suddenly, the chamber lights flickered. Her communication screen blinked once. A message appeared. Final request. Speak, or we step aside. EHS Titan's veil. She stared at it. Step aside. It was not a threat. It was a warning. Earth wasn't here to destroy her. They were here to let her destroy herself. A sharp buzz echoed behind her. She turned quickly. Too quickly. Minister Relka stood at the door. But this time, she wasn't alone. She was flanked by 5 senior nobles and General Calrix. The Empress narrowed her eyes. Are you here to beg for mercy? Relka shook her head. No, we're here to speak for the people. I speak for the people, Kyra snapped. Not anymore, Calrix said quietly. They don't want your voice. They want Earth's silence. Kyra stepped down from her throne, rage in every step. You're traitors, all of you. Relka held up a small crystal. It played a recording, a voice from the colonies. A child. Mommy, the humans gave me warm shoes. I've never had warm shoes. Then a second voice, an old man. We used to fear them. Now I fear losing them. The Empress looked away. For the first time in her rule, she had no words. Just shame. And silence. Outside, the ships began to shift, not toward the palace, but away from it. Each one drifted gently, leaving orbit. Not in retreat. In victory. Because Earth had never come to fight. They came to show who they were and let the galaxy decide. Asterisk. Relka stepped forward. Earth didn't take your crown. She paused. You gave it away the moment you stopped listening. As the ships faded into the stars, the Empress collapsed into her throne, not like a ruler, but like someone remembering what it meant to be small. She looked up through the glass roof, watching the last of the 200 supercarriers vanish into the dark. She whispered, voice shaking, "They didn't conquer us. They just waited for us to see ourselves." Asterisk. The Empress awoke before dawn. For the first time in years, she woke to quiet. No trumpet songs, no footsteps of guards, no messages waiting, only the stillness of a world that had seen its goddess fall. She walked through the palace alone, not in fear, but with a heavy knowing something was gone. Not her crown, not her throne, her grip. Outside, the people were not angry. They were not cheering either. They were simply living, eating the food Earth gave, using the filters Earth left behind, sitting beneath temporary shelters Earth's drones had built. Looked up less often now. The ships were gone, but Earth had not left. In the palace garden, she found a gift left behind. A small mirror, round, polished, wrapped in human cloth. No note, no flag, just a reflection. She stared into it. And for the first time, she didn't see an empress. She saw a woman, one who ruled with pride, and nearly lost everything to silence. Taranville joined her in the garden. They're calling it the gentle invasion, he said. She didn't speak. They never fired a shot. But they turned an empire. Still she said nothing. Do you regret not attacking? He asked. She shook her head. No, I regret not listening sooner. Far above, in the cold black of space, Earth's 200 supercarriers had returned to their stations. Their logs marked the mission as complete. No casualties, no destruction, only delivery. Delivery of aid, delivery of fear, delivery of truth. Admiral Reich sat in silence aboard Titan's Veil. A young officer asked him, "Sir, was it worth it?" Reich looked out at the stars. It wasn't about winning. He said, it was about reminding them, we could have won. Back on Zara, Relka now stood where the Empress once held court, not as queen, not as ruler. As speaker for the people. The government was changing, slowly, carefully. Some planets broke away. Others asked Earth for guidance, but something had shifted in the stars. Fear no longer ruled. Empress remained in her palace, not exiled, not executed, but remembered, not as a villain, but as a lesson. In her final speech, years later, she stood before a crowd of billions. No armor, no crown, just plain robes. She spoke softly. Earth didn't conquer us. Earth showed us ourselves. In their silence, we saw our noise. In their calm, we saw utter chaos. In their restraint, we saw who we could become. And somewhere, on a quiet Earth station orbiting Sol, a simple log updated in the line of Sol archives. Operation Starlight Echo. Success method. Silent presence result. System shift achieved. Without war. And so the galaxy turned. Not with thunder. Not with flame, but with a whisper. That came from Earth. The end. Asterisk.